I'd like to welcome you all to our meeting today here at Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority. The Board of Commission meetings are held on the third Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. All meetings are conducted at PRHA's main office, 3116 South Street, Portsmouth, Virginia, 23707, unless otherwise noted. All members of the public are welcome to attend. And here at the Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority, we're making our city more inviting than ever. Madam Secretary.
All right. Commissioner Jiggets,
Present.
Commissioner Lundy,
Here.
Commissioner Morgan,
Here.
Commissioner Roberts,
Here.
Commissioner Washington,
President.
Vice Chair Chapman, and Chair Smith. We do
Present.
have a quorum.
Yes, ma'am. Presentation of the fiscal year 2018 audit by Jump Perry and Company, LLP. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I believe you all received the financial package at the last meeting. So I thought I'd just go touch on some of the highlights and then open it up to questions you might have. But I think the best way to look at this, if you just turn to the table of contents, you can see the report. This is the entire financial report that goes into HUD, and it's almost 100 pages. It's 98 pages. But if we break it down into various pieces, it's a little bit easier to manage. So you can see it starts out with the independent auditors report. And there's actually 4 opinions in here. So there's that report starting up there, and then down towards the middle of the page you see 2 more independent audit reports, and then all the way down at the end you see 1 more report. So that's because we're giving you opinions on different things. And basically, when we audit a housing authority, we're doing really 2 audits, essentially. We're auditing financial statements, which I'll get into in a moment. The second audit is really a compliance audit. So we're seeing that you comply with all federal and state regulations and that you have good internal control set up for your financial audit piece of the audit. And also, though, that you're complying with all the aspects of the major programs that you have. So we actually look at what HUD decides that you have to do to manage these programs, and we go in and we select, in this case for this year it was housing choice vouchers, so we select tenant files, and we go to a detailed review of the tenant files and see if you're in compliance with everything that HUD has said that you should be doing. So again, it's 2 audits. I'm happy to say that all 4 of the reports are unmodified reports, or sometimes referred to as clean reports, meaning there was nothing. There were no deficiencies or discrepancies or findings to report. So again, that first report just talks about the financial condition of the authority, and the fact that the books and records were maintained accordingly, and that the year-end financial statements do properly reflect the net assets of the authority as well as the operating activities. The 2 middle reports, the first one is opining on internal control over financial reporting. So if there were any deficiencies or problems there, we would have pointed that out in that report. And we're saying that as a result of our review of the internal control of financial reporting, that we had no such findings. The third report is the report, again, on that major program, which this year we rotated. So every year we select something different. This year was housing choice vouchers, which accounted for about 70% of your total grant funds. So we look at the actual compliance as well as internal control over those compliance pieces. So even if you had no findings in compliance, even if you were completely compliant, if you didn't have good internal controls set up to make sure you were compliant, we would have had to comment on that. So the good news is we did not. And the fourth and final opinion is just us applying agreed upon procedures, saying that we've looked at all of the numbers and what is called the financial data schedule. You'll see it's on pages 66 to 95. And this is a real detailed, in-depth look at the financial statements of the authority as HUD wants to get it on REACT. So we look at all those numbers and we apply procedures to make sure that that comes back and agrees to and ties into the authority's books and records as well as the actual financial statements that we've audited. Then if you look at the other pieces here, right under independent auditors report, management discussion and analysis. So for board members, that's probably the best thing for you to look at, because it's management telling you, hey, this is how we did this year compared to last year. These are things that happened this year that are financial relevance to you as board members to look at. So if you were just going to look at one thing here, I would look at that. What follows then are the basic financial statements, which is a statement of net position, which just lists all your assets, all of the liabilities, and breaks out your net position into restricted, unrestricted, and invested accounts. And then you have the actual statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in the net assets, which is just your operating activities for the year. And we have cash flows, which just is saying that, okay, cash came in, cash went out, how did we use it, what was the sources of the cash, what were the uses of the cash. And then we have some, from pages 20 to 53, quite a few pages, very detailed pages of footnotes to the financial statements, explaining basic accounting policies and also explaining how certain amounts were derived. So that ends then your basic financial statements. And if you skip over the two auditors' reports, everything that follows is supplemental information, required supplemental information, but supplemental. So starting with the schedule of federal awards, as I said, housing choice vouchers was about 70% roughly. So it was 14 million. I think your total federal awards were a little over 20 million for 2018. So that lists what all those federal awards were, then a couple of brief notes to the federal awards, and then if there were any findings or questions cost, it would be in that schedule of findings and question costs. Again, we had none. So we just basically list the fact that we did these things and had no findings. And there's a little bit more supplemental information, most of it on pension, then the FDS, the financial data schedule, which I mentioned, and that pretty much wraps it up. So it's a big report, but it can be broken down into a lot of smaller pieces. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions anyone might have.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I heard you reference we when you talked about we decided to focus on housing choice vouchers.
Yes, we mean.
Who's we?
I'm sorry. We meaning the auditing firm.
Okay,
So
because this is your first year, correct?
No.
Doing it for PRHA.
No, actually, it's my 14th year.
This is your 14th year.
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay.
But when I say we, I meant the auditing firm.
Uh-huh.
We decide which program that we're going to audit each and every year. And there's certain guidelines by HUD and by the federal government as well that says that you have to rotate through so that over a period of 2 years, you're getting every program in excess of $750,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a detailed review, and that detailed review is called selecting it as a major program and then deep diving into compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, when I say we, I meant we, the auditing firm.
Okay,
Not we, the
okay,
authority.
okay.
Commissioners, still give me a chance to ask them to put it on the floor so you can ask a question.
What he said? I don't know.
No, what I said is this. I said commissioners still allow me to speak with the speaker when he asks for questions. I render to you, commissioners, any questions. That's what I'm saying.
You want to refer it to you as chair of the board.
Oh, well, he opened it up for questions.
He opened it up for questions, but it's still an order. It's still an order. It's still an order. It's still an order. You know this. You've been on boards. It's still an order.
Well, it might be an order, but once
Just
once
follow.
the leads, wait a minute.
No, you wait a minute.
No,
Just
you
follow,
wait a
no,
minute.
wait a minute.
No, you wait a minute.
Just follow the order.
No,
That's all
the
you gotta
order
do.
is this: when the
No, the order ain't that.
when the speaker throws it open for questions, that is the lead that we can go by. Thank you. Continue, sir.
Sir, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Lonnie, thank you.
Just a comment, and Shannon, thank you very much, you and your staff again. I'm still amazed about how you do it. I'm just absolutely amazed. Given the timelines that you have to meet, given the partnership reports that you have to do, and given the changes that we've had in the accounting staff, I just want to get, I guess there'll be a subsequent letter coming to us, that helps us with some, I guess, other issues that aren't necessarily audit related, but just want to get your comment about the staffing.
Sure, sure. I really only have one other comment, and it's not appropriate to put it into the financial statement package. And that is, I audit a lot of other authorities. And, authorities have a minimum of one really peak period when they have to get all of this information put together to help and provide it to the auditor with detailed schedules and support, et cetera, so that this can get submitted to HUD on time. That's just a normal authority that has no real additional development going on. For authorities with it, such as yourself, that have had significant development over the years and therefore have all these limited partnerships, and as you know, probably the limited partnerships all have a December 31 year end, and your fiscal year end is a June year end. So there's another real crunch time, a period of closing. And these partnerships have become more and more difficult in terms of the timing. So it's a December 31 year end. They want a good draft of the tax return, a good draft of the audit by February 1. They want the finals by March 1. This puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your accounting staff. And also there's a tremendous amount of pressure, during the June 30 year end. So you've had some changes here, you've had some reduction of staff here, and it was extreme. Shannon came through, but it was extremely difficult for Shannon this year to provide all the information in a timely manner for us to get it done. Now, what a lot of authorities do or consider is hire an outside accounting firm, and there's firms that specialize in this. They call themselves fee accountants.
Call them what?
Fee,
Okay.
F-E-E,
Maybe you gotta get
accountants.
permission.
And essentially, they come in, and they're sort of like a subcontractor. So they only come in for these specified crunch times. And then they would aid Shannon in preparing all the necessary documentation and schedules for not only for this big package, but for all the limited partnerships they have. I'd recommend you seriously look at that because it's just a lot of pressure. I mean, Shannon's not a complainer, but she had to work a lot of hours to get this done, and it's just an overburden. So I understand you don't have the luxury of having a huge accounting staff. I get that, but that would be my recommendation, that you at the very least consider good use of an outside fee accountant at those crunch times. And that's really the only other comment. And I will put that in the form of a comment letter and send it to the board.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner?
What size authorities do you usually see that being done? Is it based on the number of limited partnerships or the number of units under management? Because we do with, I think, with all the RAD conversions and so forth that have happened.
Yeah, well, even the bigger authorities that have a lot of development like that going on will use an outside fee accountant. Typically, it's an authorities about your size and smaller that do it. I mean, some authorities really are one person shows, completely just one person. So they really have to do that. They have no choice. So clearly the smaller authorities, but a lot of the larger ones, if they get, if they have a lot of other activity. So they at least come in and do the December 31 close.
And I'm sorry, what was your name
Commissioner.
again?
My name is Don Jump, J-U-M-P. I'm a partner with Jump Perry.
Okay, okay.
Commissioner Washington?
My question was answered with size.
Because a lot of authorities just feel like it's more cost effective to do that, and, have people here.
Any other questions, commissioners? There be any?
Yes, I have a question, and this is not pertaining necessarily to the audit, but it is something, with Norfolk and Newport News now getting those, what I call those huge grants that are going to come from HUD. Some other discussions have come out of that, and I didn't know if your firm has had an opportunity to go into the delineations for opportunity zones. Have you all done anything with that?
When you say opportunity zones, you mean the impact of the new tax law?
Yes. I think
Yeah.
it's Internal Revenue Code 1400
Yeah,
Z1
that's brand new.
Z2.
That's
Yeah.
brand new, and we have not yet, we have some authorities that are considering that, but we have not had any that have done that.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before we go into our next order of business, I would be remiss if, I wouldn't say welcome to Mrs. Rose Harrington from the North Development House and Growth Commission. Glad you're doing it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Next order of business. Resolution to meet in closed session. Resolution 2019-21, resolution of intent to meet in closed meeting. Whereas the Virginia Freedom of Information Act provides that the Board of Commissioners can meet in a closed meeting for the discussion of consideration of the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an opening meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body as set forth in section 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia as amended. The matter for the discussion is Seaboard Commons. And whereas the Virginia Freedom of Information Act provides that the Board of Commissioners can meet in a closed meeting for consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff pertaining to actual probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in an open meeting would adversely affect negotiating or litigating posture of the public body as set forth in section 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia as amended. The legal consultation pertains to the property litigation matter and a personal injury matter. Now therefore be it resolved that in compliance with the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and the above referenced sections of the Code of Virginia Code, the Board of Commissioners shall reconvene in a closed meeting on May 16, 2019 for the discussion and disposition of publicly held real property A3 and probable litigation A7.
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second, Madam Secretary.
All right, Commissioner Jiggets?
Yes.
Commissioner Lalonde?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And Chair Smith.
Yes.